Hello YouTube, it's your boy Sean Matrai here with another, hold on, give me a second, with another Duel Links tier list update. Yeah, I waited on the new box to drop this because I didn't want to drop one and have to make it again and it would be a mess and it's just not worth it. Anyway, here is the Duel Links tier list. Don't mind a couple of deck lists. I accidentally screenshotted the wrong thing, but don't mind that. We'll skip over those. But I also shortened it down so that way the video doesn't take an hour and then you guys can watch it to the end. But with that being said, here is the Duel Links tier list. Alright, so we're going to start here. Earth Machine is, I don't even know if it's rogue at this point. Like, I feel like, what does it do in this meta? Doesn't really do much. Struggles to Shira. Like, they can't out Sun Saga. Yeah, maybe bottom end rogue deck. Earth Machine could be a rogue. It's good enough to be rogue, but it's not top tier by any means. It struggles into Sun Saga. Red Eye Zombie, I feel like, I mean, they could probably break through their field. So probably a bottom end rogue deck. Citadel's still really good. But, like, Leap can lethal in some situations. Yubel's had the meta, so it definitely helps there. Overall, I still think it has a tougher time in the meta. I don't think it's the best deck by far. I think it's just rogue at this point. Now, bottom end rogue. Mayakashi is tier 3. Right now, it's not the strongest deck in the meta, mainly because of Sanifon and Galaxy Eyes and Blue Eyes will see a lot of play. So, those decks can take advantage of making a turn 1 Sanifon, and when that happens, it gets to be ugly for Mayakashi and Red Eye Zombie. With that being said, I think Mayakashi kind of has a little bit lower of a power ceiling than some of the upper echelon decks. However, it's still really good. Henceforth, why I put it in the tier 3 section. And yeah, I mean, you know, the advantage is like if you go first, like against a deck like Blue Eyes, you have the Maya Link in the graveyard. And yeah, it just helps out because you can wait to the battle phase and not get wrecked by one Successor Soul. Again, I think, though, it does do well going into some disruption. The only thing is Sanifon. If it wasn't for Sanifon, this would be ranked higher. But right now, I have Mayakashi at tier 3. Alright, next is Rocket. Rocket I put this twice, is bottom end rogue. It's not good. It really doesn't do well into anything in the meta anymore, and it's a backrow deck. I don't even know if it's a rogue deck. And now, honestly, I feel like it's even a cog meme at this point. And I hate to say this, but Rocket's taken a huge fall. I just don't think it really competes with anything else, specifically. It just doesn't really feel like you have an advantage of playing Rocket over any other deck. Maybe it's bottom end rogue, but maybe somebody can do well with it, but I'll put it as top end cog memes for now. Susip is another cog meme. It is not good. It is not a good deck at all. If you play Sky Striker, they go into this Suship play and end on 2 back row. Sky Striker pop the back row, they steal both your monsters and you're dead. Yeah, it is not good. It is even borderline sewage waste. You're almost there. It is very much almost there. I don't even know if it's like, no, because it's like, it gets, I don't know. It can still go second. It's a cog meme. It's a cog meme, but I'm not gonna disrespect Suship that much. It's a cog meme. It's a cog meme. It's a cog meme. Alright, S-Force is probably bottom tier rogue. I think it's still, I mean, I don't even know. Like, it's, yeah, I guess it's bottom tier rogue. I think actually going first in the striker is kind of weird because, like, if you end on, like, Gravitino, they kind of have to deal with that first. Not that they can't, but, like, Gravitino could give them a bit of an issue because Ray will get banished in that zone. So they could just, well, the problem is like, if they go to act, it depends. Because, like, they could pop Gravitino in that zone. It's kind of weird. But I could see some situations where it might actually be decent. Maybe very bottom tier rogue. I think it's a little bit over Rocket in terms of whether I play it or not. Overall, though, bottom tier rogue at the best. It still loses to 1 negate, so yeah, I don't know. Takon is sewage waste. Wow, how it's fallen. I don't know. Like, I feel like some people have said Takon's still a bit playable. I know one person top with it, but I don't know. Maybe it's a cog meme, but like I don't really see Takon doing too well in tournaments anymore. I just feel like it's kind of sewage waste at this point. It's almost like top and bottom end cog mean top end sewage waste. Maybe we'll move it up, but we'll keep it here for now. Shiranui is tier 1 in my book. I still think it's a tier 1 deck. I still think this deck is insanely strong. A lot of people, including my boy Steven, just got a top 4 with it. It's been topping a lot of tournaments. The deck is still incredibly consistent at what it does. It sets up disruption on the opponent's turn via the Mile Link, and then you still have the trap. They'll drop, you can run a lot of text. Ghost Morning gives them another zombie and trap. Actually, they'll work with, which actually synergizes well with the deck. That being said, I'm going to put it at tier 1 for now. I think it's like one of the best decks in the meta at the moment, honestly. So I will keep it there. I think it definitely could be there. Constellar, I still, despite its kind of like iffy striker match, I wouldn't even say iffy. Like, I think it can be decent in a striker, despite the graveyard banishing. I think there are points where Shira can overwhelm them. Anyway, Constellar is Rogue. Again, this is another deck that relies a lot on back row. You still have Pallades, but like, if one Pallades is all you're gonna do, it still can be a little bit weird going into striker, because striker can win this going second. I feel, it's kind of weird because it can do well. It's very hand dependent for Constellar. I think actually if they go to more of a hand trappy list rather than the back row list, maybe I bump this up to like the highest end of Rogue. Yeah, maybe that's a little bit too mean. I think Constellar can actually go to the highest end of Rogue, or maybe like a tier 3. Yeah, because like they can go to more of a hand trap list now, I think, and I think that's gonna kind of be the way how you play it. But maybe like a highest end Rogue at that point, because I still think, like I said, the problem is them going second is still the main issue of the deck. Yeah. Teni is tier 3 or tier 2. I think it's high in tier 3. I think this deck is still really strong. I think it can go into striker really well. I think against Shira, it can get a little bit rough if they end on the Mile Link, and maybe Zombie Pile going second might get rough, depending on what exactly they end on, the boards that they end on. I don't know. Red Eye Zombie, Zombie Pile, whatever you want to call it. But I think tier 3, tier 2 for sure. Maybe it's even tier 2 because it's really strong. I think you have a better chance of going into Red Eye Zombie than you do into Shira, but, you know, I think it definitely has its shots. Maybe it's tier 3, somewhere in there. Lion Twin is off there, and it's in bottom Rogue now. Honestly, I don't think it's that strong. I think the deck honestly struggles a lot to certain decks in the meta, to be honest with you. For instance, I think that the deck really does, struggle with Sky Striker, because all they do is just start backward removing you and you lose, you know? It doesn't really feel great at that point, so because of that, it is going to be a tier 3 deck, a Rogue deck at the moment. Alter guys I kind of put in the same spot. Now, again, my boy Crimson Reaper 5 knows a lot more about this than I do, but I kind of put it in the same spot. I think, like, really good pilots could do well on it. I do think it kind of has an iffy striker matchup, but I want Crimson to confirm this before I decide to move this up or down. But right now, I'll keep them both kind of at, like, mid-Rogue at the moment. But, yeah, that's kind of where it is. Ancient Warrior is, oh, gosh. Oh, no. Do we... I don't know where this deck is ranked, to be honest, whether it's here or here. I mean, it does do decently going second enough, honestly. So maybe it is, like, cog meme. Yeah, I could see it being a cog meme at this point. Yeah, I think, honestly, it's a cog meme. It does enough, to be a cog meme, to be honest with you. And sets up a spell trap negate plus bounce on turn 1 is pretty good with a hand trap, so it's pretty decent. And turn 2 you can get targeting protection on your plays. So yeah, I'll keep it there. Boulder Rock is sewage waste. This deck is not good. Unfortunately, it's just not good, because the problem with it is it just loses to a DD Crow a lot of points, or if they summon an Uni Zombie and you have a direct response to it, they may not be able to play through it. Going first, this deck could set up a really good turn, a decent, really solid turn 1, but the problem is turn 2, this kind of feels so shit. And with Crow being around in the meta and cards like Shark Cannons being in the meta for Sky Striker, it just feels really bad. They can also, in the Sky Striker matchup, take your Boulder Rock, which really feels terrible, and then start banishing your stuff. So yeah, not really Not really looking good for our Balderrock friends over here. This deck can't really play through a lot of graveyard disruption anyway, so it's kind of, yeah, okay. Crusadia can actually be a decent level of rogue. The main reason is it actually has a good Sky Striker matchup. Because with Sky Striker, you can tribute their monster and put a Kaiju in the main monster zone, and then at that point, you turn off all the Sky Striker spells and it kind of cry. So yeah, with that being said, I think it's kind of like a tier 2 deck at the moment. I mean a rogue deck, not tier 2. It's a rogue deck at the moment. It can do pretty well. I wouldn't be shocked if like Mech Crusadia became a thing and people started playing it. So I'll keep it in rogue for now. I don't consider it top tier or anything, but definitely rogue. Galaxy Eyes is a tier 3 deck, and probably the highest tier 3 deck, to be honest, over all these, because it does really, really well against some of the top tier decks, like Red Eye Zombie, you make Sanifod. It can do well against, it actually does not have, it actually has a good Red Eye Zombie, it has a good Mayakashi matchup. Teni is not great, but Shira is not too great either, but, you know, tier 3, it's okay against Shira, I would say it's okay. But tier 3 right now, I would say, for our Galaxy Eyes friends. But mainly because Sanifod makes this deck a lot stronger now. Cosmo is, well, I mean, it's almost Sewage Waste, but maybe a cog meme because it actually has a good matchup in the Sky Striker. It loses to everything else, though. But the diversity of a ladder, I wouldn't rely on it. How is this doing the Red Eye Zombie? I don't know. You gotta have to open, right? I don't know. It's a little cold to not put it in Sewage Waste, to be real with you. I haven't seen this deck really do much of anything. It's almost a cog meme, but Sewage Waste. It has a good matchup in the Sky Striker, but like everything else, the deck is just gonna lose too. Yeah. So yeah, not really great. I would say, yeah, it's kind of Sewage Waste at the moment. Not really good, despite its good matchup with the Striker. You know, if you disrupt Tin Can going second and they have nothing else, then, you know, it's kind of GG's at that point. Even still, I feel like a lot of decks can overwhelm it at that point, but maybe it's a cog meme, maybe Sewage Waste, I don't know. Bottom cog meme, Sewage Waste. But at that point, like, the differential is not really high. Medulce is actually maybe bottom rogue. Like, this deck can actually do pretty good in the graveyard decks. The only problem is, like, going second into Disruption can get pretty rough if you don't open up the right decks to go second with. Other than that, like I said, going first, it actually does pretty decent because there's a lot of graveyard disruption like Shiranui, even Sky Striker shuffling back in Ray, dealing with Zombie Pile as well. Even some of the 10 decks it could do something against, yeah. So I think that this deck can actually be a decent rogue deck, honestly. So I'll put it at mid rogue right now. I'm gonna go over some of the other decks. They don't have to run all back around the deck, honestly. Magic Key is not good. It is a cog meme. It is not good. It is a go first, maybe a little bit go second cog meme. Can end on a decent field, but again, nothing that really none of the decks are really playing through at the moment. So yeah. Salamangreat is how does Salad fare in this meta? Probably bad because Sky Striker probably ruins their turn 1 with Minecon and a bunch of other crapola. Turn 2, maybe this, I don't know. They have a lot of graveyard disruption. I don't know. Maybe a bottom end rogue, high end cog. I think high end cog meme, honestly. Yeah. High end cog meme at the best. Yeah. That's kind of where it is. Yeah, that's where I feel. There's a lot of graveyard disruption. That's a lot of what holds this deck back. Orchist is actually Sewage Waste. Oh my gosh, we've gotten here. Pure Orchist is not a good deck anymore. It just loses to everything. It loses to graveyard disruption. It loses to It pretty much loses to everything in the meta. Alright, on to the next one. If it doesn't go first, you pretty much lose to everything. Alright, yeah. Alright, on to the next one. We already did Rocket. Ursardic is another sewage waste deck. Look at this. Shiranui would probably destroy this deck because, again, their main boss monster, Septentrion, doesn't really care. Synchros don't really care, so Shira just kind of curb stomps this. Same with, Red Eye Zombie, Felgrand, and Sun Saga really don't care. So again, Red Eye Zombie kind of has the edge here. And Sky Striker probably just blows it out with every spell that it has in the deck. Because ending on Septentrion, they don't really care much. They're just going to pop everything with all your spells. So, you know, and they have like a book and a crow, but like they're highly situational. Yeah, so not really a good deck at that, so yeah, that's kind of where everything's lying at the moment. Destiny Hero is probably a Cogmean, mainly because you could still do stuff with, like, I guess, Gnomes if you really wanted to against Shira, but then Sky Striker don't give a crap anyway. You know, you can make a turn 1 that ends on a certain amount of back row, but then the back row gets curb stomped by Sky Striker, and you're probably losing that game anyway. So, there's that. Alright, because of that, it's sitting in Cogmean. Alright, next is Sky Striker, and that is a tier 1 deck. Yeah, Sky Striker is definitely top tier. It is like almost tier 1. At this point, I gotta consider it at least the back end of tier 1. I still think Shira's a bit higher in my eyes, but like Sky Striker is really, really good at this point because it's just such a good control deck. It does have a few weaknesses, including I think a poor TG matchup in my opinion, but overall, and a poor Teni matchup in my opinion because I think Teni can curb stomp this. But, you know, overall, I think it's just really, really solid at controlling the graveyard. And, like, if you let this deck go to turn 2, this deck really wants to go turn 2 over any other deck in the meta, right? Minecon, you have Afterburners, Jamming Waves. There's so many things that allow you to go second. Widow Anchor. So it's just really, really strong. Red Eye Zombie is a really high tier 2 deck. This deck is very, very strong. The only thing I think really holds this back is like Blue Eyes, and that you're gonna see. Oh, I didn't add Blue Eyes to this list. Oh my gosh. Okay, give me 1 second. Yeah. Or we could just imagine this. I know you're not gonna see this up here. All right, we're gonna sub this. We're gonna pretend this is Blue Eyes. Okay, but this is just a list. It's gonna go and we're gonna pretend this is Blue Eyes. But right here and there, Red Eye Zombie is only being held back by Blue Eyes and held back by Galaxy Eyes. Other than that, this deck just really, really is strong. It can play through a lot of disruption and do really well. It's almost tier 1, but tier 2 just lacks a little bit behind there. Okay. Next, we have Gladiator Beast. And I don't know where to rank this deck, but this deck has actually been popping off. So I know chat is going to eat me alive for this one because I called this deck out of garbage when the box dropped. But honestly, it might be rogue because this deck can kind of make some really cool plays. And it feel like if this deck is piloted by a really good pilot who knows what they're doing, it can actually do really well. So I'm going to put this in rogue for now, but we'll see where it goes. Okay, this is going to be my Blue Eyes. Blue Eyes is tier 1. It doesn't die to any hand traps, which makes it one of the strongest decks in the game. It's right up here with Shira. But Blue Eyes is just so incredibly strong right now, to be honest with you, that I cannot put it at tier 1 and not put it tier 1. They generally end in like 2 back row plus a hand trap or 3 back row, and then can top a monster for follow-up. They also have Santa Fun. They can do a variety of different things. TG is tier 3. And it actually might be, I bumped Galaxy down a bit, bump this up actually. I want to kind of do this. TG might be the strongest of the tier 3 decks. The reason why is this deck I feel is the best going second deck in the game, right, with Striker. And I'm being real with you, this deck can hella go second. Maybe even better than Striker can, because the thing is that this deck can make a Black Rose without even committing a normal summon, which is really scary against a deck like Sky Striker, because if you have like a Lance in hand or like an Eagle Booster, you're pretty much winning the game at that point. And a lot of people have adjusted it to where they're playing a ton of hand traps. Plus, going second, this deck can play through quite a bit of disruption. The only thing is the turn 1 gets a bit sketchy, but if you run a lot of hand traps, then it gets better, I feel. But overall, this deck is really strong. Tier 3, borderline tier 2. It's very good. Ogdog deck, I don't know where to rank this Quantum Help, because I don't know what this deck really wants to do. I know it can spam out a bunch of bodies, and I know it's got like ascend the whole field, but I don't know what this does into every matchup there is. It's a graveyard reliant deck. I'm going to put this at like mid rogue for now until somebody tells me otherwise, but that's kind of where I'm going to leave this. I don't know. Dream Mirror is Cogme. Guys, we've gotten out of sewage waste. The problem is that this deck cannot go turn 2. That is literally the problem. This deck cannot go second. It's really good going first, kind of like where Magic is at the moment. It's like Magic Key. Well, no, Magic Key can go a bit going second, so maybe below Magic Key. Probably just out of here and into Cogmemes. But the problem is that this deck does not go second. Yeah. So, yeah, great turn 1, but not going turn 2. So basically, you're playing Coin Flip Yu-Gi-Oh! Alright, that is the tier list. This is where everything ranks. Let me know what you feel. But I think this is kind of where the meta is going into the KC Cup right now. I think that reality is that, like, you know, I think this meta is healthy. I don't think there's anything really toxic about this meta, to be honest with you. For me, I look to be playing a lot of Shira in the KC Cup, maybe some Red Eye Zombie, maybe even a bit of TG. We're going to have to do some testing to see what I feel, but I definitely want to play Shira a lot. So keep that in mind. Maybe some Red Eye Zombie as well. But this is the tier list. This is what I feel. Let me know if there's anything I missed. I know somebody's going to comment down here saying I missed their favorite deck. I know that's going to happen. But, yeah. Until next time, this is your boy, Sean Matrai. Make sure you catch my live stream for my first con climb. That's either going to be late tonight or tomorrow. I don't know. But make sure you're there for that. We're going to be doing a con climb with Shira, the cog. That's going to be our first cog. And, yeah. Also, if you like this video, like, comment, sub. That'd be greatly appreciated. Until next time, it's your boy, Sean Matrai, signing out. Peace. Peace. Yeah. Bye, YouTube.